Welcome to this talk about focus. Today you will probably learn a bit about how to achieve more focus in your team, if you use a development team or any kind of team. First of all, in room 4 on Slack, I have started a thread. So if you have any kind of comment on what I'm presenting here, that you want some feedback to me, that is not a yellow, red, or a green note out there, send it on Slack to me. Could be critical. If it's critical, please provide a context or something good, whatever. I like feedback. Also, I do have what I call a provocation guarantee. Basically means don't feel that you're off if you are provoked during this presentation, because there are some provoking things, and hopefully eye-opener things and things you can bring back home if you don't want to do the whole shape-up method that we are doing. The key of this presentation is focus in a team. So trying to foreshadow what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about my team. I'm going to talk about the change we had to do and shape up why we did that, the transition we've done, the learning we've done, and I also have allowed for a Q&A in the end. 1 hour is a very long presentation, so I short it down and allow for a Q&A. Or if there's no questions, you can just go if you like. Hopefully, this will be worth your time. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about the team that I am a product manager for and the products that we have, because it gives a context. I've been forced to make a presentation about myself, even though I want to talk about shape up and focus. My name is Martin Gjesdal. I am a simple product manager from Sandnes on the west coast of Rogaland. I used to be a developer. I used to be a designer. I've worked both in waterfall and agile, and I'm here because I suck at multitasking. Otherwise, I may have ended up as a project manager because they do multitasking better. I can only do one thing at a time. That's why I'm the perfect product manager for the way we transitioned into. So this is the team. When anyone starts in Storebrand, in Stavanger, you get an avatar like this, and these are the people in my team. I am on the top right there, and the rest, there are 2 UXers, 4 developers, and a team lead who is also a tech lead developer type. Just want to brag a little bit first. I work for Storebrand. We maintain Skagenfond's digital services. There is 1,500 million NOK under management. We do equity funds, and we have both retail clients, but most of them are in the wealthy end, and also not normal people like me. I'm not my own target group here, but that's okay. So we do these 2 platforms. They're front-end heavy platforms. It's the portal you see there on the left-hand side. We also have an app connected to that portal. So we have some other products as well, back-end products, but these are the 2 most important products. They're connected. They're to the same information. One is an app and one is an old-school portal. So before I continue into this, it's very important that we know the difference between a product and a project. Because sometimes people do a project, they call it a product, but it has more similarities with a project. I'm not saying project. A project is a great way to work if you're reaching a goal, a specific goal. So on the innovation stage, for products, we do idea generation. So it evolves over time to meet user needs, while maybe projects are more towards a specific problem with a defined solution. In the planning phase, I would say products are unpredictable. Projects are not predictable, but I said less unpredictable. I haven't been in a project that's very predictable, but compared to a product, it's less unpredictable. So products respond to external feedback, changing requirements, and things changing all around. That happens in a project as well, but it has more of a predictable plan with clear phases and milestones. We don't use milestones in products, at least not in my product. We also have a goal structure where we work with objectives when it comes to products. So we set we have broader objectives, focus on delivering like ongoing value all the time, while projects have specific goals that need to be accomplished. Also, the delivery focus, a product is a long-term provided service. I was about to say fizzle out and die is the way products die, but that sounded a bit too harsh. But it's continuously improved. At some point, you just cut the product because it doesn't have a market fit anymore. Project, specific outcome, deliverable at completion. But most life cycle is products have a never-ending story. Does anyone know who this is? Remember the name? It's Falcor from Neverending Story. It's a great movie from 1984. Not the first callback to the 80s I will do today. But products are a never-ending story, whilst projects, they have a deadline. They stop. The most important of all, I think, is for products, there is no map. No one can say, this is where you're going, this is what you're doing. We need to, at any given time, try to figure out what's the next best thing to do, next up. What are we going to do now? Should we do this or this? The world is changing, the team is everything is changing. Now we need to do this or this. The problem with many agile products is that they have already a set roadmap for many years ahead that doesn't take that into account. So that's some of the things I will talk about. I'm going back to September 2022 because it's important for the team and our products. Something happened September 2022 that impacted me and the team and Storebrand, which is that Storebrand acquired a fintech company, an app called Kron, which is a great savings app. Acquired that as a small team of people working very hard with investment app into Storebrand, which is a company of 2,200 employees. And that had some consequences for us. So it's opportunity spaces, I've decided to call it. First of all, the previous product manager that was in the team, she was assigned to a transition project for Kron. So I came in, fresh, never been a product manager before. And as I said, suck at multitasking. And that team was full of multitasking chores. Also, in Storebrand, all eyes were on Kron. Kron was the new jewel in the company. Nobody looked at us. We could live in the shadows and do whatever we wanted. Also, Kron were presented as having something called laser focus that I was super interested in hearing more about. How come that when they were presented, we have now acquired Kron, they have true laser focus, and then I was just hooked. What's laser focus? Sounds really good. We don't have laser. I don't think the team I was in had laser focus. I want laser focus. So it was observation time, and I have to admit it's a great illustration. I didn't use the nose as much as I used my eyes and ears. I went into the team, and for 2 whole months, I shut up, which for my part, those who know me know that that is pretty impressive. Sat and listened to what the team did, saw what they did. I participated in all of their rituals, and I did some observations that I'm going to present now. And these are not unique for that team. So this is not that specific team not living up to all the standards. This, when I go around and have this talk, people recognize this. So they use something called Scrumban. And last I was in Agile, there was something called Scrum, and there was something called Kanban. And these were then merged into something called Scrumban because this is the Agile future. As the best of both worlds, which as you can see, I'm a bit reluctant to that. It was a long-term focus, and there was a lot of autonomy for the team involved. And I thought maybe it's better for a project fit, considering all the things. So it's better when you have a specific goal, a specific time period. Also, there were stakeholders. And the team had over 15 people. It's deliberate. The team and the products have over 15 people that had a say in the product. And they had organized this in a prioritization forum, which when I was in observation mode, I participated in that. And that was quite messy. It was very unclear who was making the decisions for this team. There was a person who had the final say. She was never in those meetings. So it was a meeting with a lot of other people who had a lot of opinions. Someone working in the back office, someone working towards the customers, a lot of people having their say. Also, backlog the team had a backlog of 250 items. Many of them were over 2 years old in the backlog. And when you translate it to Norwegian, for those who know Norwegian here, most of you, I guess, ettersleb doesn't sound as cool and sexy as backlog. So backlog make it sound like something you're depending on, something cool that can help you. Ettersleb, not something you want in your team. If we had stopped all new development at that time and focused on those 250 tasks, we might have spent 2 years finishing everything, because there was small and large, some were outdated, there was no control. They did backlog grooming, spent a lot of time on that, and then that helped for a while, but there was still a lot of Jira tasks to go through. And going through a Jira, I hate Jira, because there's a lot of fields and I can't easily interpret everything. But the point is, we would have needed a bigger boat. So I just can't go and ask, I need 10 more resources because our backlog is so big. We already have those resources we have. We can't ask for more very easily. The team also, in addition, had technical debt. All teams have technical debt. We had the regular technical debt. In addition, the team had decided to go from Angular 1.0 to React. And for those who know those two frameworks, know that that's not just replacing one thing with another. They're two entirely different worlds. And there was still 80% left of that work. 80% on top of all the regular technical debt, on top of all these 250 Jira tasks. I also talked about rituals. So I went into, they had something called Monday commitments and Friday wins, which I think is a great concept on paper. Haven't seen it work in practice yet. They had squeezed these two into one, where there was no wins, there was no celebration, and the commitments was more of a copy-paste. So like this week I worked on this and that. I guess next week I'm going to work on the same. Next person in the team. This week I worked this. It's not finished yet, so I'm continuing next week, or I'm setting it on pause because I don't see any end. So all this was very frustrating to not open my mouth and speak about. But at some point I did. And when I did, we decided we want some team principles. So let's not jump into a specific method, way of working, or framework or anything. Let's just decide on some ground rules of team principles. And these were very easy to agree on for everyone. You all know these. We wanted to, I call it true agile, because the bullshit they were doing was not agile. It was not easy to suddenly do a new path out of nowhere. It was not agile. We wanted to be transparent, because now it was a lot of bureaucracy, things were burned down, and very difficult to know what were we doing at any given time. Predictable. The business, some part of the business has stopped trusting the team deliveries because it was unpredictable. It was not possible to know when is this going to be delivered. Oh, that depends on a lot of factors. Right now we're doing this. We think we're going to do that next week as well, but we don't know. Something is on pause, and then some. There was in finance, there were AML, anti-money laundering things coming in from the side suddenly. It's very hard to plan. Also, I wanted to go fast. We wanted to reduce risk. Coming a bit back to that, it's a side effect, the collateral value of this. I wanted the team not to be autonomous, because I think that's bullshit. A team can't be autonomous unless it's the only team in an organization. We have other teams that depend on us, that need something from us. We can't just do whatever we want, but we call it empowered. I think that is a much better word. But most of all, I wanted laser focus. That was the one thing I truly wanted for the team. I love the 80s, as you see. I can't stop loving 80s. Laser focus. How do we achieve laser focus? Who did laser focus? That was Krohn. So I went back to Krohn and said, what the hell are you guys doing? Oh, we're doing something called Shape Up. It's great. So Shape Up is a way of working with digital products honed by Basecamp over several years. The book is a free PDF. You can download it. You can buy a physical copy as well. Just Google it. Super easy. Ryan Singer, he had a presentation about Shape Up on Why Oslo last year. So that's the method that we went for. I'm going to talk about it soon. And it's also take into mind that Shape Up is built with American principles in mind. And in the US, they have a separate team doing operational maintenance and one team doing new development. Our team had both those responsibilities for all the products we have, so we had to do some adjustments. I'm coming back to that. But we decided to transition into this. And one of my great inspirations, one of the first things I did when we're doing a transition is to ask Phil Dunphy, because he says that the most amazing things that can happen to a human being will happen to you if you just lower your expectations. I think it's a great quote. And I did that with all my stakeholders, our team, all the other teams, leaders, everyone around us. I said the next half year is going to be hell. I have a local word, armer og bein. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be Texas, which is also a very Norwegian reference. So everyone was ready for that. Okay, you can do the chaos thing. Everyone's looking at Kron, so I could do whatever the hell I wanted. So I got free reign to do this, which is great. I suck at multitasking, and the team was multitasking. I suck at it. The team sucked at it. Everyone basically suck at multitasking. If we do multitasking, we do everything we do a little bit less than a total. It's not 100%. If you're going to write these three words, it's inefficient to write M, 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 U, 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 L, L, L. The best thing is to focus on one word at a time. That's how our brain works. So writing out multitasking, multitasking, multitasking is the best way to do it. Also, back to the backlog, etterslep, we killed it. And everyone thought that was very preposterous. I didn't see the point of having a backlog with 2 years of work, and we're doing new development, and we're probably doing more on the Angular to React. Why do we need a backlog? And everyone just kept saying, you can't just delete the backlog. The backlog is sort of, it's the backbone of a team. Every developer leans on the backlog when there is something. So without the backlog, we're just drifting into space. But we tried this. I didn't delete it, but we just said to the team, don't look. I can find it if you like. It's buried in Jira somewhere. We never look at it. This is 2.5 years ago. And on that date, I deleted the backlog. Everyone was ready. So on January the 3rd, 2023 at 9:13, you may be wondering, 9:30, that's because the train arrived in Stavanger, and it's a 10-minute walk, and then I got to the office. And at that point, I turned on Scorpions with the Wind of Change, which is an epic masterpiece talking about change. And from that moment on, we were doing Shape Up. And I said, if this doesn't work, if in a half a year this doesn't work, it's okay, we can go back. I don't want to be part of the team we're going back to, so I'm out. But from this moment on, it's Shape Up we're doing, nothing else. This is Shape Up. JFDI is just fucking do it, what it stands for. Because that's what we did. No need to plan yourself to death, just transition and try out. That's my method at least. So going back to Shape Up, what is Shape Up? So Shape Up is the framework for getting a focus, but how does that work in practice? And does it give more rituals or less rituals? I have the answer for that, of course. Basically, this is what Shape Up looks like. The red ones, focus, those last for 6 weeks. So 6 weeks, the team is shielded from the rest of the world and can focus on 1, maybe 2, even 3, but no more than that, tasks. That's what they're doing. So either the whole team is working on one thing the whole period, or we split it into 2, and you guys work with this, you guys work with this, you work isolated, it's okay. The best is always the whole team working on one thing together. Cooldowns, they last for 2 weeks, and is the most important factor for getting focus, because no one can run all the time. Coming back to that. There's a very cool concept called fixed time variable scope, which I think is very easy to talk about in theory, but super difficult to get to work in practice. So in Shape Up, we have something called a pitch. So if you want our team to do something, you pitch it. You write the pitch. I'm coming back to the contents of the pitch. Here we can say 3 pitches have been pitched in. And we don't do estimation, but this is about how much we think it will do. So what we do, we have a red one, pitch 1, we have pitch 2, pitch 3. So what we will do, if we think we only have time for one, we cut off the last snippet of it. That's what fixed time really means. This is a 6-week period. Don't have time for more, so cut it. And if you want us to do the rest of it, you need to pitch it for the next focus period. That's what deleting the backlog is. There's no automatically going over. Or if we think we have more time, we do this, stack them up, clip it. That's what fixed time is about, and that's one of the key secrets here. And instead of extending the time, because that's when you lose the predictability. This is predictable. We know almost what we can do in 6 weeks, almost know it. We don't do estimations, but we have a gut feeling about what we can do in 6 weeks, and we always have a goal of delivering what we have promised. If you don't do this, we stretch out in time and become unpredictable, which I didn't want. And there are some rituals in ShapeUp, and the first thing we want to do is shape the pitch. Shape up. So shaping the pitch is maturing, going from an idea through the stages until we have an approved pitch. An approved pitch doesn't mean it's we're going to do it, but it's ready to be considered. And we need to know what problem should we solve. Not necessarily talking about what feature shall we deliver. I like much more to talk about what's the outcome we want to deliver. Or sometimes we do have a solution space. There is a low-hanging fruit. Someone in the back-end system had made something that makes a thing in the front end very easy. Low-hanging fruit. Also, what value does that give to the company? Everything we do have to be measured in some sort of value. It could be a commercial value. It could be a client customer value. It could be an efficiency value, or it could be a future robustness value, which is an interesting value because that makes sure that things that work now still work in 6 months. It's something in the engine room or it's some compliance thing, but it has to have a value. And we talk about appetite. What do we think is the appetite? We don't do estimation. We talk about how my team is 8 people, and the cost of 8 people, 6 weeks, is pretty high. And when we talk about appetite, how is our appetite to get this thing done? Do we want to put the whole team on it? Or do we have to one person can do that for the whole 6 weeks? Or do the whole team a half period? That's also possible. But we need to talk about what's the appetite. We don't talk about how much is it compared to this. We have an estimation of, is it doable in 6 weeks, do we think? Yes or no? Then we talk about the appetite. We also have no-goes and rabbit holes. What do we think the developers can disappear into a rabbit hole for a week? What are those things? What should they not do? It's tempting to do this and this and that. You should not. So we're building this fence, empowering the team, do whatever the hell you want inside, but outside the fence, don't go there. Also, we talk about why is it important now? Let's help us compare the pitches. Some pitches are, we don't need to do it right now. We can do it in 6 months. Or if it's implementing Google Analytics, do it now because it's not backwards compatible. So that question is very provoking for the business, but super important because we need to have as much information as possible to know how to prioritize. Also, we need a business ownership. Before I came in, they had delivered a lot of functionality that no one used because there were no one in the business. They just went into Jira and put it into the backlog and said, it's super important. This will give us lots of more clients. Or our existing clients will raise their savings agreements because of this. But no one is actually owning it. So having someone coming in early and actually owning it is super important. And we need to describe what does the success look like? What kind of metrics do we have in place to make sure that this is actually delivering the value that we try to foreshadow? And here is the second point that many people find provoking. So developers sometimes find it provoking when I delete the backlog. Product managers and people who work toward the business find this science fiction. I had over 15 stakeholders. So that group, Skagen, had a lot of people, and that group, Storban, had a lot of people. So I went and said, you can have one guy. When we do what we call the betting table, where we decide things, you can have one guy from Storban and one guy from Skagen. This is science fiction. Very few people can actually do this. And just because everyone says it's not doable, I just did it. It was no problem. I just went to them and said. So what happened is that this red guy on the left, the bottom left, he had a very good suggestion. Came to me and said, Martin, if we do this and this and this, well, that will be great. and I said, go to your guy. He went to the guy, and the guy said no. Because that guy had an overview of all the things that they were doing. I said, that's not important. I have other things that I want Martin's team to do. So in that respect, I don't have to deal with all the guys on the sides. I only have to deal with those two guys. I can have discussions with everyone, but I always say in the end, okay, you need to discuss this with your guy at the betting table. So we managed to do this, and this is one of the frequently asked questions. How did I do it? I often get. So we have a betting table. That's where decisions are made. We're betting on what I call matured pitches, so pitches that are ready. And it's me as a product manager. I have my tech guy from the team, which is the team lead. And I have max 3 stakeholders. I have 2, but you can have up to 3 stakeholders. What we do is to bet on the usage of the team time. And I don't think always people who work in a team, who work very sort of into the back end or front end or whatever, always consider how much they cost. And that's why when we're talking about betting, suddenly it becomes a little different, because we don't have to win the bet, because sometimes we had focus periods where we're just, this focus period was a waste of time. We betted on the team's time and we lost. If we know what success looks like, we know we didn't succeed. But just having an ongoing, all the time thing that's happening week by week, you don't get that overview. You never know when you lost or didn't lose. So everything becomes very clear here. And if it's more than 1 pitch, we decide on priority. And then when that happens, we have 3, if we have 3 pitches that have been prioritized, the one on the bottom, we take people from that and put on top if the focus period nears its end and we're not getting there, we're putting people from the other pitches bubbling up to the others. That's why we need to know the priority here. And then the team goes building. There's a 6-week focus period. And in the first week, we spent almost 1 week slicing, planning, tasking, understanding. I present to the team. It starts with me presenting to the team. Here's the problem from the customers. You're free to choose the solution. We think you guys, here's some input. You can talk to these and these guys. You need to decide, because you are the developers and the designers. You know how to best solve this task. That's empowerment. And we had a focus period where the team was asked to stop people from redeeming from funds in panic. Because that's what happened. People go into the newspapers, see USA is going to shit, and they go and take all their global equity funds and sell out. And in the previous solution, we didn't have any warning. Just click on the button, super user-friendly. You have sold everything. Get the money the next day. So they had 3 kinds of solution, went in and tested and picked one of those solutions and implemented. I didn't tell them what I wanted. I just told them the problem is people are cashing out in panic. And we're not stopping people from cashing out, but could you give them a little warning? Could you give them, like, contact customer service, call here, or if you have an advisor you can get? That's what they did. And that helped stop 1% of the redemptions. We don't know if they went back later, but the numbers show 1% were stopped. And we think those 1% were about to cash out in panic or click the wrong button. Very easy. It was so easy. So slicing, planning, and tasking, everybody starts at the same time. Designers and developers start at the same time. I know that sounds weird, coming back to that. Team is empowered, as I said, and me and the team lead, we do everything we can to protect the team, because we believe that an undivided focus for 6 weeks, you get much higher speed than if you're constantly being stopped and have to fix things here and there. So the team lead, as I said, is a tech guy. He goes in and tries to fix incoming bugs and things. Sometimes he have to pull someone out. We try to do as little as possible, but it's not the perfect world. But we try to protect the team. So I go into meetings so the team doesn't have to. So it's little. I always challenge if we have meetings with everyone in Storbrann, do we have to attend this meeting? No, then don't attend it. Work, focus, and the team wants that. We need to do breaks, of course, but having many unnecessary meetings, yeah. Full speed ahead. That's what I'm trying to do with this thing here. It's on full. And we have a sustainable pace. I talked about the cooldown. It's very important. No one can run all the time. No one can sprint all the time. The tempo is changing. And in the cooldown, don't work on focus tasks. work on something else. So maybe we have piled up some bugs that came in, something that went wrong in the focus period, or maybe they want to do a hackathon for 2 days because one of them has a great idea. Cool, do it. Anything but the focus work. So the focus work is sacred. We do that in the focus period, and then we do something else. I remember when I worked in Equinor and we started using Scrum in the beginning, we went from a demo on the Friday to a sprint planning and new sprint on the Monday. It was exhausting. That was a tempo we couldn't hold for long. This is doable. I'm not saying that we do this perfectly every time. Focus work sometimes bleeds over, and the best focus periods we had, they stopped when the focus period was over. It's not a perfect world. We try to adapt and learn all the time. So the team, we also tried to break the circuit. As I said, we deleted the backlog. We start with a clean state. We stop the repetition. So if you had a mature pitch that you pitched in, and we said no to it, you get, of course, a very polite no. No, because this and this was more important. No, because we don't think this is mature enough. You're not ready. You can't take the value into the business, or whatever. We give them a good reason. But then the person who has pitched it in has to take it to the next focus period. There's no automatic copying to the next period. And in the cooldown, we also do demos. We do retros, reset the pitch table. And this is where we meet the most resistance. People expect us to just continue with, if we had a focus period and we delivered at the end of that, and there was something more that we could have delivered, there's a lot of pressure from the team and stakeholders to just copy paste it, continue it. But the whole point is to be agile and know automatically, and very few times we have continued on something. Most of the times we have considered it, but we have some other stuff we want to do. The world has changed, the team has changed, Storebrand has changed, everything has changed, so we need to do something else. And we have delivered in the focus period, but we haven't delivered the full-fledged functionality. But what we delivered was prodigious. And the result? We have double delivery pace. We have more new development. We have less keep the lights on, which is just keeping it up. There is an end in sight. Team is happy. Predictability and value output. Stakeholders are happy. Stakeholders had a lot of pain as well because they were used to micromanaging the backlog and helping the team. And then they have to wait, and they have to wait until the next focus period to pitch something in and to get. But everything is very predictable. And I'm a happy PM. Also, there's a lot of things we have learned here, which I think is super valuable. So, shaping enough and in time, pitch not ready, partly in my head, partly on paper. That's one thing we've failed on. Or maybe the pitch was not detailed enough, too detailed. That's two very different things. We have failed on both. So we have a hypothesis that we don't underestimate the work. So sometimes we've just said, oh, we want to do all this in the focus period, but it's not possible. So midway through the focus period, we have to do some very harsh priorities, cut things we didn't want. And we need the product manager to be proactive in the whole start of the focus period, because sometimes I've just delivered to the team and expected them to understand, and it's been a bit of a confusion. We need to get good at slicing fast. This is where many people fail when they try to introduce ShapeUp, is they are not slicing the tasks in the right way. So we have said you need to describe the tasks and the order they have to be done in. Each task has to be prodigible alone. And some developers need micromanagement, so we need to put everything into a task. And sometimes we slice, we say we deliver end-to-end, so back-end, front-end design, and then back-end, front-end design for each thing. Or sometimes we just, okay, let's finish up the back-end first because we can't do anything there in the front-end before everything in the back-end. So slicing is very difficult, and you need to have a senior resource that's good at slicing and good at directing the team and helping those who need micromanagement. Because if you need micromanagement and you just start off, you go in the wrong direction, because you think this is a great way to go. Speaking about the rabbit holes that I talked about earlier. And we also had, I said, we are all starting at the same time. If you have some kind of experience with digital development, you know that the designers need a head start. You can't start at the same time. Designers need to have planned, but before we did these changes, designers could sit alone and design for 3 months, coming with something that was not possible to build. It wasn't rooted in reality because they hadn't talked to anyone. They just sat and designed something that was user-friendly, but it had no roots in the real world. So all the team, all the time, no sub-team. So what we do is that developers wait for designers. That's the challenge, and designers get a head start. So sometimes the designers have started in the focus period. They started in the focus period, they get 1 or 2 head start. But developers are always closing in on designers. They never are very much ahead, but when they start on the design, it's already prepared because they've talked together. So the team talked together the whole time. We've set the ambition level too high. I want too much, team wants to deliver, focus work bleeds into the cool down has happened a lot of times. There's no sustainable pace, we've been there. It's great hearing me talk about sustainable pace. I haven't always achieved it. Ideally, we will have everything in production by the end of the focus period, but we need to adjust the ambition level. And one of my favorite learnings we've done is developers. The road to product hell is paved with good developer intentions. Oh, just this little feature. It just takes 3 days to build it. It's not described anywhere. I just want to add it because it's so easy to do it. And if they don't tell anyone, suddenly they've wasted 3 days on a thing that has no value or a very minor value. It's not worth 3 days. So become very strict on the time. 100% perfect is too slow in shape-up. That's not, we don't want to make perfect things. We want to make the things we do great and do just enough to deliver value and go on to the next thing. We're only 8 people. We have a lot of ground to cover. So we need to be very strict about how we use our time. Shape-up exposes this, becomes very clear. And we have clear no-goes, and we need to have a tight follow-up. If you start a task, always talk to someone. Not just because you need their advice, but we don't always trust you to solve this task in a way that's economical for the team. So it's not about not trusting. Actually, it's just about making sure that we always do the right choices, helping each other all the time. There is also a very unclear value output. Who owns the value output? What does success look like? What are the metrics? On the best focus periods, we have been very clear on what we're delivering, been very clear on what success looks like and how to measure it. Other times we failed on this, and we've been asked, like, what's the value delivered? We delivered a function that does, yeah, but what's the actual? Oh, we have no idea. We just felt the gut feeling. So being very strict on this, working on metrics from the start, has been super important for us. And also, I don't know if you get the golden apple reference if you don't know about OKRs. But this hasn't happened in our team, but with a reference team that we're working together with in another company, where one is only hunting low-hanging fruits. So you get a team that becomes great at shipping because of shipping. And you lack direction. So what you look back, you have 6 focus periods in a year. You look back and you say, we've delivered this thing here, this thing there, this thing there, this thing there, but there is no clear direction. So coupling shape-up with objectives and key results or any kind of other strategy is very critical to success. And this helps us decide on what pitches we should go for. And if we don't have any pitches that apply to the objectives, then we have to find pitches that apply to the objectives. So throughout the year, we need to go into all the key results and see, have you achieved this? Okay, we're lacking on this one. So the next focus period, we need to focus on this objective here because it hasn't gotten a lot of love. So we're working very hard to get the right objectives, to have very sharp key results to connect them towards, so that all the shape-up periods, all the focus periods can go towards a common goal and not just because we do a thing because it's easy to deliver and looks great that we delivered something in a focus period. This is super difficult. Also had a lot of other learnings. Bugs can't wait for cooldowns, or can they? I've said no to a lot of bugs that are actively in our solutions that can wait. But the business don't think they can wait, but they're not critical. Business, yeah, but it is, yeah, but what? It's not a problem really. It can wait for the next cooldown. And then I go to the team lead, because the team has full autonomy in the cooldown. They can do whatever they like, basically. I go to the team lead and say, can you please do this bug? Yes, they can. Then I fix it. Pitches don't always have cuttable parts. Sometimes we're making something that's so big you can't chop it here at 6 weeks. How do we handle that? Turns out they can be chopped, but it requires a lot more planning. Also, there's a fear of quality degrade due to deadline. So people fear that because we're doing this deadline and we need to chop it at 6 weeks, the quality lacks. And that's true if you look one way at it, but the way we looked at it is to put less things into the end product. So, for instance, when we were first making onboarding in the app, we wanted to make, you can purchase any fund, equity fund you like, start a savings agreement, do this, do that, all of the things in the onboarding process. Midway into the focus period, the team realized we're not getting there. This is too much. So we cut out the savings agreements, cut out everything else. So we just took 3 or 4 of the sort of most popular funds you could start with when you onboarded. But the requirement from me was to, if you are a person living in Norway over 18 years old, you should be able to onboard. I didn't say you also should be able to purchase a lot of stuff and start savings agreements. So they cut that because they did consideration on their way and they want to deliver by the end of the focus period. Also, focus on measuring success has been very important. Sometimes we've lacked it and sometimes we haven't. But it's much more fun to have proper metrics to define what success looks like. So, just a quick recap here. We have been through Agile. We can now turn around after a focus period. Really, we don't have anything. We make a blank slate. We are transparent. Anyone can pitch into us. Anyone can see what everyone else has pitched in. If I say no to a pitch, it says on the top why we said no and when we did it. We are predictable. We deliver everything we say we deliver, the minimum for every focus period. We work fast. We have risk reduced, because if we have built the wrong thing, we have spent a maximum of 6 weeks. And that sounds like a lot, but in a normal digital development, you would have maybe spent 6 months doing the wrong thing and not even knowing it was the wrong thing to do. And the team is empowered. We're not autonomous anymore. We're powered, which is great. But most of all, I think we have achieved laser focus. And that is a great thing for us. So the focus is the key takeaway. If you don't like shape up, find something else, but try to get focused. Don't work on too many things simultaneously. So I say thank you. Are there any questions? Yes?
One thing that I've been worried about with, like, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So 6 weeks is a long time, kind of.
Yeah.
How do you avoid having like just a huge release at the end? How do you manage to?
Yeah. So what he says is 6 weeks release. 6 weeks is a lot of time. And how do we handle releases? So, okay, the app that I showed you, it's released through iOS and Google, App Store and Google. And it's a cumbersome release process, so we don't release all the time there. The portal, we have our own release system. We try to release as often as possible. So tiny bits all the time. And sometimes we use feature toggles, etc. But two big stacks, that's not where we want to go. So we want to have releases like all the time, even though each release doesn't actually trigger the value. So we do releases and 2 big stacks, that's not where we want to go. So, but did that answer your question? Yeah, great. Anything else? Yeah, there.
You mentioned that you selected also refactoring or rewriting from Angular to React.
Yes.
Where did you fit that in?
Yeah, so it's about how do we handle technical debt and React, etc. Well, the Angular to React is still in a 50-50 state. We've done more on it, but we haven't prioritized it because we are measuring only on new things we make. It's a bit of a hassle for the developers. Something is in Angular, something is React. It's really very fun for them, I guess. But what we do is that we have had focus periods where we just say, now we need to do major pay down on technical debt. And the value output of that is to have future robust solutions. So that's one of the values we're going at. Or sometimes people, the developers can choose on their own. Say, I had this thing in the focus period and I want to work on it because it's slowing me down. So they can do that during cooldowns as well. So we do allow for it, but the main focus is new development, and then we try to free up time for those kind of tasks as well. Anything else? Yeah.
Do you feel like 6 weeks on and 2 weeks off is the correct, or would you like to try out different things?
Yeah. Is 6 + 2 the right rhythm, or do we want to try out something else? We've had teams in Storbrann trying 4 weeks. It's exactly too little. Exactly too little to build something where you have to also have quality assurance and design and everything. And then we've had longer periods. But the problem with if you do longer period, which is described in an OKR book I read, is that you don't feel the pressure from the start of the focus period. When we start the focus period of 6 weeks, 6 weeks is not that long. Already now, we have to, I'm destroying this. Already now, we have to start building something. We have to start focusing on the delivery because it's not that far away. If you do a quarter, then you won't be productive the first month maybe. But 6 weeks, we have had people trying less and more, and 6 weeks is a sweet spot. And I guess that's why also the guys at Basecamp chose that rhythm, because we just jumped into it and stuck to it, but others have tried other rhythms as well. And 6 weeks is also a very good fit because you get a tertial. So the year is divided into 3 tertial. It's a language the business understands. So we do overall prioritizations for tertial instead of focus periods. That helps us into the focus periods. Yeah.
What happens if people are in the middle of something at the end of a cooldown period? Are they usually completing what they are in the middle of, or could they just jump on the others with the focus?
Yeah. So it's cooldown and cooldown work bleeding into the focus period. So the other way around, focus periods, focus work sometimes bleeds into the cooldown, but there is a hard stop on the Monday when the focus period starts. And you have to plan for that if you're doing cooldown work. Most of the cooldown work we've done so far is minor bug fixing and minor stuff. So we hadn't started big projects in cooldowns. And everyone knows that on the Monday, clear cut. It's unfortunately not the same with focus periods into cooldown. Cooldown has been more of it a flex almost, but it's a hard stop on when the focus period starts. Yeah. Yeah, changing the goals during a focus sessions is a big no-go. What Basecamp have done, which I read, is they have stopped the focus period and done something else. But we haven't reprioritized. We go sort of the full mile when we first start. We finish it, unless there is something around us that says this doesn't make sense. But when we commit, because otherwise we are fear of getting a culture where it's okay to stop, and then the threshold for stopping in a focus and changing priorities is lower and lower, and we don't want to go there. So we want to really commit when we commit. Yes, yeah. Yeah. Yes, dependencies to other teams. So we have 5 teams in our area that follow the rhythm. Not everyone do hardcore shape up like I do, like my team does, but we are 5 teams or even more that go with the rhythm. So what we do before every focus period, we have a big room planning session together with all the teams, and there are dependencies, and we do move people around. So we who are the product managers, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out what we're going to do and what kind of people, resources do we. Do I need 2 backenders to complete this task? I go and ask the team, and we see what are the overall priorities for the whole area. So that's it works very well because everyone in the same rhythm. That means we don't disturb the other teams when it's a focus period, and they're on a focus period as well. And then suddenly we got the same focus periods. We work in Stavanger. We got the same with the guys who work in retail in Lysaker. And suddenly everyone is working in the same rhythm, even though the way they prioritize and pitch, etc., that's different, but the rhythm is the same. Yes? There's a hand there, yeah. Operational issues during a focus period. Yes, that's why I have the tech lead. He can do most of those, but sometimes things will go down and we have to pause the focus period. If shit goes to hell, we can't say, no, the focus period is more important, because it's not. When shit goes to hell, it's all hands on deck if there's anything we can do. Most of the time, it doesn't help to put 4 developers on it. Most of the time, maybe 1 or 2 needs to attend that and fix it, etc. It hasn't happened, it hasn't been critical, but if we're ready to do that, and my team lead, I am the one who has the final say in what we do, but my team lead, he can stop me if there was operational issues. He has the operational responsibility. I don't have the same operational responsibility. Yes, anything more? Yeah.
What about people taking time off, vacations and stuff? Can you do that?
Yeah, people taking time off, yeah. If you haven't said before the focus period starts, forget it. So you just need to plan. We haven't said no yet, but that's the policy we're talking about. But we have a full calendar with all the names of all my 70 colleagues in my area, divided into teams with all the cooldowns and focus periods. You put it in there, and you notify me and the team lead. And that should be easy. I have one of my designers is in Japan right now. That he told us 3 months ago, and we plan for that. We know that he's in Japan, so we need to maybe lower the ambition. If the back-end guy goes on holiday, we need to do front-end heavy things, etc. Or we can get someone in from the team. Vacation is not a problem unless it's suddenly impulsive. That doesn't go here. We try to get people to do vacations and cooldowns, and they've actually adjusted to that, which is great. Yes? I don't see any more hands. I'm also, if you like podcast, I have a Flisespikkeri, which is a UX podcast, and a Retro Crew. If you notice, I like old things and computers as well. And that's all I had. Thank you. Takk for meg. Don't forget to give feedback on Slack if you want to.